This is a Downey Fire Department training video on the First Do platform for pre-plan, the pre-plan module. Right here you have the pre-plan organizer. It's the first tab along the left-hand column here. What you can do is you can search a pre-plan by address, by name of occupancy, or you can go into advanced search for some additional filters. In this case, if you search a pre-plan by address, it'll populate down here. Next tab along the way is my assigned pre-plan. So this test captain account, if there was a pre-plan assigned to me, this might be something we're going to be doing in the future as we start to roll out the pre-plan program. And this is where you'll be able to manage your progress through pre-plans that have been assigned to you. The pre-plans map, I'm going to go into more detail here. Each one of these green icons is selectable, and you can hit edit pre-plan, and that'll launch you into the pre-plan editor. Again, I'll talk about that here in just a sec. Pre-plan list is everything that we've touched over the course of either in training or in the platform itself under pre-plans. And then finally, the expiring items are any items that icons that we've added to a pre-plan that have an expiration date. So in this case, on this Priscilla address, we added a police icon, set of police assistance needed, and we set an expiration of October 31st, 2023. So this is an icon on a live pre-plan that is set with an expiration date. So we don't have to constantly manage icons that are temporary. So for the purposes of this, this module video, we're going to focus here on the pre-plan map. I find this is the easiest way to do the pre-plan editing. We've actually 62B shift has actually done a pre-plan here of the DART facility. So we'll go ahead and highlight this for our module video. As you can see, there's some annotations that are already here. So again, you can search the address here. I could also put DART, it would bring that up. And I'm gonna go ahead and click this edit pre-plan. And when that launches, it's gonna bring up this column here with these menu items across the top. It's gonna have publish, draft, cancel. That means you're in editing mode. I'll go over those here in a little bit. And then it's gonna have these icons along the right-hand side. And I'll give you a walkthrough on those as well. So the very first item is this map icon. You can't change any of the data here. You can just put special directions. So really the first icon where you can do the editing is in this occupancy details. That's this house here at the top. This has all the building height, width, length, floors, basement access, a whole bunch of information that the more information we gather and you save, we'll have it available to us live when we're responding to this address. So we encourage you to please gather as much information as you can about the occupancy and add them to the details. The next piece across the top is going to be this plus sign. Plus sign is going to be to add an icon to the map. You can see there's already icons here on the map. Those icons are here listed. So if I clicked on any one of these, it'll allow me to edit that icon. I can change levels. I can create an expiration date. And that's one of those temporary icons that we showed you in the expiring items tab. In this case, I'll cancel that. I can add a new icon here with add new. My preference actually is to do it up here with this plus button at the top, because what it does is actually gives you a visual of what the icons look like. So here you would search through, find the icon that you want to add. In this case, I'm just going to add a do not enter. This is not a drag and drop. This is a click and then click on the map. So I'm going to click it once and then I'm going to click it on the map. And what that does is it drops it right where I wanted it to be placed by clicking it straight onto the map. Two places where I can edit that icon. I can click the icon itself and it'll allow me to edit it here, or I can click the icon on the list and it'll allow me to edit it here. So just so you know, you can edit the icons directly on the map. One nice thing about editing pre-plans that I want to bring up, one, you can hit this collapse arrow so you can work on a bigger map and continue to go through and add your icons. You can expand that map back out right here. You can also work in different map views. So in the Google, you can be in the satellite or in the map view. And sometimes that's a little bit easier because it's a little bit cleaner. It doesn't have the satellite view. So I toggle between these two primarily in the Google platform. You can also go into an ArcGIS map, a little bit different map, shows a little different, and then you can change the different layers for that ArcGIS. But again, I operate primarily in the Google tab, it's highlighted in blue here, and switch between map and satellite. So in this case, I'll just leave it in map mode because it's a little bit easier to see the pre-plan items that I've added. Next item along the top is this hazmat icon. The icon is also over here on the right-hand column. You can add new, but in this case, all hazmat that's going to be imported in the platform is going to come from Cal OES's SIRS database. Now, we manage the SIRS database for the city of Downey based on occupancy address, and our hazmat inspector curates that list by adding not only the addresses but the reportable quantities. They go to the state, and then we take the state's data and annually re-import it into the platform. So as those quantities change and those addresses with reportable quantities change, we'll be updating those lists. So if your address has 704 placards here in your unmapped icons, you'll see hazmat listed over here. That's just an indication that we've imported that data from SIRS. There's also a hot link in the response view in the dashboard that'll hot link you to the ERG, so you can see ERG data based on the address and the reportable quantity from the SIRS website. One note, hazmat's going to show up here in the unmapped icons. You're going to see 704 placards here. Each one of those 704 placards is going to correspond with an item on the hazmat list. We're asking you, please don't map any of the hazmat. So please leave the 704 placards in the unmapped items. The reason why is we're going to scrape it annually and re-import that list to update it. And so once you map them, they won't be scraped when we scrape the data. So we're going to end up with a lot of duplication of icons. It's an item that First Due has been notified about, and they're working to fix it. And so we'll provide an update when it's okay to go ahead and map those hazmat icons. Next along the top here is contacts. In this case, we have Enrique Gonzalez. Update all of his information, phone number, and email address. Email address is really critical in First Due because what it'll allow us to do is send inspection reports. It'll allow us to communicate directly with these occupancy contacts, and the contacts really start to really make a difference in the inspection module. So if we have the email address and we do an inspection, we can actually email them a copy of their notice of violation or their inspection report. And in addition to that, we can email them a link to do a video conference inspection follow-up, and you'll be able to sign them off on minor violations remotely from the station by doing a video conference with that occupant using their email address. So email address is going to be a really important feature in the First Due platform. I'll go ahead and cancel that. You can also add a new, and all that is the same information, so you can create multiple contacts for the same address. Next along the top here is this paperclip. What this allows you to do is click here and you can add a photo, take a photo, or choose a file if you want. One thing I find really easy to do is if you grab the Google yellow person here and you click and drag them onto the map, if you place them, it'll take you down to Street View. And if you rotate your Street View, you can actually take a screenshot of the screen view and then click over here to add and drop files. So if I screenshot this, again, I'm working on iPad. I find iPad the easiest way to do pre-plans because it'll save your photo. And then if I click add photo here and go from photo library, excuse me, that photo will be added to the pre-plan, and you'll be able to actually see that Street View screenshot from the response dashboard. To exit out of this is a little less intuitive. First Due's notified of this as well, but there's a little arrow hiding behind the publish button right there. And if you click that, it's going to take you out of the Street View. So that's a little bit about this Google Street View guy right here. Layers or levels, when you can add a level, every pre-plan is going to come with a ground level. In this case, it's toggled. There's only ground level. All these icons have been added as a ground level because this is a single story commercial structure. On our response map, the only icons that will be viewable from the map itself are icons that are added to the ground level. But let's say this was a multi-story building and we had a Division 2. I'll go ahead and hit add. Let's say there was a Division 3. I'll go ahead and add. And let's say this was a hazmat facility, or it had hazmat reportable quantities there. And I want to create an evacuation zone layer. And I'm going to demonstrate that here in just a moment. So once I add these layers, I can drag and reorder them using these three lines here. And then once I've added them here in this toggle, I can add different layers. So if I click off of ground and go Division 2, I said all these icons were added under the ground, so I'd hit Division 2 and they disappear, but that's because I'm now editing Division 2's pre-plan. Same with Division 3. And you can toggle all of this en route to a call so you can see multi-layer, three-dimensional pre-planning. But in this case, since it's a single story, there's only icons on this ground level. this hazmat evacuation zone, when I do this annotation piece here, I'll show you how we create that as well. And what we can do there is toggle to an evacuation zone if there was hazmat involved. Let's say it was a guide 111, it was 330-foot exclusion zone or initial isolation. I'll show you how we would draw a circle that would indicate that evacuation zone so we could have it as a quick access toggle for our target hazards. So that's a little bit about levels there. Finally, the annotation button. We already have some annotations that have been added. You can see them here. They're either polygons where you see this blue, this green, this pit here. It has a caution note, danger, because it's a below grade area. This is a roll-up door. These are all roll-up doors here. So you can edit information by clicking this item. You can change its color, its transparency, and update that. You can also change what level that thing is located. So based on those levels you created, you can add those. I'll go ahead and cancel it now. And the way you add these annotations is with the pencil section here, is with this pencil button over here. This is line, polygon, circle, square. This is text, this is a measuring tool, and this is how to put an arrow on the map. So if I'm gonna draw a line, I would literally just click the line. And again, this just creates a perimeter line if I want to create a perimeter line for whatever reason. And then the final one, I just click back on its end point there. If I want to draw a polygon, I would do the same thing. But the difference between a polygon, you can connect the lines as a perimeter, and it'll make a perimeter area. A polygon, once you connect it, it'll allow you to shade the interior space of the polygon. If I want to continue down, I'll show you the circle here in just a moment. I can click the square, creates a square. I can click the arrow button and I can point to this square if that's what I want it to do, just showing an arrow on the map. Now finally, I wanted to show you the measuring tool and I want to show you the circle annotation here. So I'm going to click off of ground and I'm going to go back to that hazmat evacuation zone. Again, it's going to clear my map because now I'm just operating only in the hazmat evacuation zone layer. So in this case, we said it's I'm going to pinch the screen to zoom out just a little bit. And what that's going to do is it's going to help me draw a measurement. And what I do is I click just the center of the occupancy. And if I come out to about here, that's 258 feet, so 343 feet. So I have the option here to clear the measurement, save the measurement. And if I want to clear it and I want a better accurate, I'm shooting for 330 feet. If I click here and I do the measurement tool and I click the center of the building and I go to about here. All right, that's about 322 feet. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that measurement because by saving it, it allows me to go back up here to the annotation tool. And now I click the center again with the circle button. And I'm going to create a circle that's just a little bit bigger than 320 feet to estimate approximately 330 feet for my initial isolation zone. So now I've saved that line and that number, 322. I can delete that now. So if I come over here and I know that my text, 322 feet, I can delete that. It's going to ask me, sure, you want to get rid of it? Yes. I want to get rid of this line that's here because I no longer need it because I've already made my circle. It's going to ask me, do I want to delete it? I say yes. And now I just have this circle that is my approximate 330 foot hazmat evacuation zone. Now if I click the circle, I can change and edit this. So let's say I want to make this orange for hazmat and I want to add a 70% shade to it. So now in this layer, which is the hazmat evacuation zone, I have a circle of 330 feet approximately around the center of the building. So if I need to evacuate workers or people from these neighboring occupancy in case of a hazmat incident, I now have the hazmat evacuation zone pre-planned in this pre-plan with this layer for the hazmat zone. So I'm gonna go ahead and update this because it'll save it. So now if I click between my layers again, if I go to my ground layer, it has the original annotations plus what we added to the map just when we were messing around with it. But it also has this nice evacuation zone around the building. So that's a little bit about how you add all the items across the top here in these columns. A little bit more, we talk a little bit more about this parent-child in the inspection module, but we have primary and secondary addresses. So you might have a strip center with a core building with one address, which is the whole strip center. And then each occupancy will be connected to that primary address in a parent-child or a primary-secondary relationship. So if I toggle this, and it's not a good example here because this isn't a secondary address. So you only see the primary address. You can toggle between layers. You can add Google points of interest. So if I click this, it's going to add all the Google Points of interest that would be on a Google map makes the map a little more crowded, so you can turn them off. And typically we leave them off in this map. And then finally you have your zoom out, or excuse me, your zoom in and your zoom out. And that kind of takes you for a walk through the right-hand column there. Last but not least is this unmapped icons. We have updated the entire city with all of our sprinklered buildings and all of our FDCs, so that when you're en route to a call, you'll know that this is a sprinklered building that has an FDC. It'll show up in the dashboard in response. As you're doing pre-plans, if you see an unmapped icon that is not hazmat, go ahead and map these icons. You can put the sprinklered building in the center of the building, no big deal, and put the FDC at the actual physical location right here. We've already mapped the FDC and we've already mapped the OSNY in this pre-plan, and we did that before we imported all of that data, so that's why it's already on the map. But please map the unmapped icons. Last but not least, once you finish all of your work, you have publish, draft, and cancel. Publish means save it for everyone to see. It'll go live as soon as you say save. So if you hit publish, you say okay, it'll go live. I don't want to publish this because we have all these edits. I really do like that we created this evacuation map, but for the purposes of this demo, I'm not going to add it right now. Draft is not going to prompt you after you click it. It's just going to save it to your profile. So it'll save to the test captain profile, and the test captain profile is the only one that can see these edits. So if you get into a pre-plan and you get an emergency response, you can hit draft, it'll save your work, you come back and finish it. Or if this is a multi-day pre-plan that you're working on and you want to save your work and come back and continue to work on it before you publish it to everybody's view, you can do that as well. And finally, cancel, which is what we're going to do here to delete the work we did. Once you hit cancel, it's going to prompt you, are you sure you want to cancel? And if you cancel it, you say, okay, it's going to delete all of your work and you would have to start over. But if you're messing around in the pre-plan, just like we've been doing here, just please go ahead and go cancel. You hit okay, and it's just going to delete all the work that we did, and it's going to take us back into the module. So that's a little overview of the pre-plan module in the First Do platform for Downey Fire Department.